Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk, Human Design Coffee Talk. I actually have my coffee today, and Teresa's going to be joining us soon. I'm just going to invite a few people too. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Carla. My voice is a little scratchy today because we got some rain last night and it kicked up a bunch of allergies. All right, good morning. Let's see here. Teresa should be hopping on any moment. So today we're going to talk about generator types. And I mean, we could have a million episodes about each type. Morning, Teresa. So if you have any questions as you come in about generators or anything that you want to talk about, drop it in the comments. Let's see here. All right. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. A real life coffee talk.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. It's time for coffee talk.
Coffee talk. Coffee talk.
Get situated here. Cool.
Hey, you get us in our morning view.
Yes. The morning hair. I put clothes on, though. I'm not naked anymore.
Right.
Just for you guys.
I debated the robe only, and then I was like, yeah, I should probably put clothes on.
I mean, if we're going to be true to coffee talk, we don't. I'm just kidding.
Right?
We don't need clothes.
Good morning, everybody's coming in. So we're talking about generators today. And before you hopped in, Teresa, I was like, we could talk about all the types multiple times. So we'll just touch on whatever anybody wants to specifically talk about with generators. I actually just pulled out my generator book
Yeah.
and I came across something that popped out like, oh, let's start here.
Yes.
So it's Raw talking about generators, and he says, okay, I'll do this for a couple of years because it's easy for them. And he's talking about the deconditioning process or waking up process. He says, I'll just wake up these generators and then I'll just go back and sit on the hills for a while.
So what does that mean to you when you hear that?
Well, we are so deeply conditioned by our not self. I'm not self all the time, but even if I have an awareness, it's like, it's so thick in me that generator types, I mean, there's just not self coming out everywhere all the time, and both Teresa and I have open head. So I feel like, I mean, she has undefined ego. I have undefined solar plexus. Those are two places of great gifts and awareness. But the open head, for me, I feel like really gets in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some ways that your open head gets in your way?
Following strategy and authority, that's what ruled everything. I thought I was, making mental, I thought it was a good thing to think about it. And, there were times in my life where my body would respond quicker and I would listen and things would be smooth. And then there were times where I would listen to the shoulds and I spent a lot of time solving other people's problems or trying to solve other people's problems, lots of, an example that I give, that I think about is somebody would text me and ask me for a gluten-free chocolate cake recipe, homemade. And I've never actually made one from scratch, but damned if I don't Google a recipe for them and send it to them, you know? Like, who does that?
Same.
And this awareness around how often I'm using my energy to be like a human Google or solve somebody's problems or feel like I need to solve a problem, or have a solution for something. I have undefined open head and undefined ajna. I mean, I'm not here to solve anybody's problems.
I would like that recipe, please. Hold on, let me just Google one for you.
Right.
I've never actually made this, but I will Google it for you.
Right. And my husband has this link, and he's like, why don't you just use this link? He's undefined head and ajna too, but he doesn't have that same theme doesn't show up as strongly. And he's like, why don't you just send them this link? And it's a link for them to Google their own thing. Like, it's like, here's how you find the answer to your question.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Do you think he doesn't have as much conditioning there because he has like an open sacral and like other areas that would be stronger conditioning?
Yeah.
Because of like the hierarchy of conditioning or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Even within my hierarchy, I would think my open solar plexus comes in thick with confrontation, issues with confrontation. And now that I have an awareness, I feel them come up in my body. Like my sacral's like, let's talk about this. let's move forward and let's stop not confronting. And I'm like, oh. But it's still there. It's thick. What do you notice with your open head?
With my open head, same exact thing. It's also, I think because I've defined ajna, it's almost like I'm used to the way my mind works. And I know that I can recall certain things. So I get frustrated when I can't recall something that I thought I knew. And it's almost like that. I think because I have an open ego too. And this is how you'll notice like the open centers work together. My open ego is like, well, I need to prove that I can find the answers, right? I need to prove that I know this when I don't actually know it. And I can just be like, I have no idea. I don't know. Google it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that working together with my open solar plexus and my open head, or undefined solar plexus and open head. Like, you can figure it out for them because you don't want to like stir the pot. Like, don't, like keep the water smooth. So figure it out, or you should, or you can, or you've done this before. You can do this. It makes sense. And then my sacral's like, nope. And so it's like a battle, within my mind.
I was out with some friends the other night and we were downtown. We were trying to find a parking spot and I'm driving and there's like a parallel parking spot. And I live in Phoenix, you guys. I don't live in a big city. I mean, it's a big city, but it's not like a condensed city. I don't really need to parallel park ever. I learned how to do that when I was 16. I probably haven't done it since. But I'm like, I want to prove that I can parallel park. No joke. It was like something out of a movie. It's like 10 minutes later and I'm like still like inching and trying to figure it out. And luckily Sarah, my friend Sarah, was with me and she's familiar with design and she's like, I feel like you're trying to prove something right now. Like, why don't we just go find another spot? I'm like, you're right.
Yes, it shows up everywhere, design, like, yeah, the struggle is real.
But you have to laugh at yourself too. Like I just started laughing. I'm like, oh my God, I am. And like being aware of the thoughts that are coming through my mind too.
Yeah. It's fun to have people around that have an awareness and can kind of help us like, hey, I see that you are in like a not self theme is playing out right here,
Yep. Here we go. Okay, we have a question here. Any suggestions on how to encourage a sacral gen kiddo with an open solar plexus and ego to listen to their body when it comes to confrontation? Well, you're sacral and open solar, so what would you do there?
So with children, if they're sacral authority, I would not focus on like listening to your sacral like for specific things, or how to do it for specific things, I would just encourage listening to your body and getting them in tuned and calibrated. I mean, kids are already really in their design, you know, there's not a lot that we need to do to like mold them. There's conditioning that we need to be aware of. Like, so are we allowing them to be confrontational? You know, um, one of my children has an open solar plexus, and one is emotionally defined. And I feel like with our daughter that we have to allow her to be confrontational with us, and let, like, when she feels it, like, instead of suppressing it, you know, instead of not letting her feel heard when she needs to express something that she, you know, she's feeling, or if she's how she's feeling about a situation, just kind of letting her, but she has defined heart too, so um, she will, I mean, it'll kind of come out a little stronger, but there are times definitely recently where she's kind of pulled back and not said anything to not stir the pot. She's actually my stepdaughter, so she has two different households, and we have two very different households. And so she kind of has to chameleon between the two. She's a 3.5 mg, and it's very difficult for her because she's constantly avoiding confrontation between the two households, you know? And so making sure that she has, she can express it when she wants to be confrontational. And I talk to her a lot about it, but I don't talk to her about like her sacral response in certain situations, because that's just what I think it would be. And I need her to know what it is and feel it in her own body, how it feels for her. If she starts, a lot of with kids, it's very subtle, like they're pulling back, you know, or, you know, they just kind of shrink. And that's not even like a sacral no, but maybe they're kind of going against it. You know, sometimes this is a sacral no for some people. And sometimes with our children, we can tell when they're not using their voice, when they're not speaking up about how they're feeling in a situation. And it's just as us to have an awareness around their behavior. And when we notice, like, hey, is there something that you'd like to say? You know, is there something on your mind? And giving them the space with that, without judgment, to do that. And then how did that feel in your body before you wanted to say that? Or, and how does it feel now after? Just dialogue, you know?
Yeah, that's really good. Somebody says, yes, my daughter is like that, and I have to let her release her steam, so to speak, although she is a manifester. Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely like releasing steam. And I think, you know, I don't have kids, but my friend Sarah lives with us, and she is an open solar plexus, and I've just learned, like, being defined emotional with somebody who's open, I really have to be communicative of where I'm at, because if not, she feels everything and almost like internalizes it. And or she'll think that she's feeling something and making things up in her head when what she's feeling is correct. It is how I'm feeling. It's just, it kind of sends her into like this tailspin of doubting herself and doubting her emotions. And so whenever she comes to me with something on how she's feeling, saying it, I realize it, or yeah, I've been starting to realize that over the last couple of days or whatever, so that it validates her in that expression and in what she's feeling.
Yeah, I definitely have felt that. I feel like my open solar plexus needs a lot of communication from people.
Yes.
If not, I start to feel frustration. And that kind of compounds into like resentment, because I'm feeling what's going on and nobody's talking about it. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to be the one to talk about it. Like, you know, like, can we all talk about it? So it kind of like evens it out, so I don't feel so overwhelmed. Yeah, that open solar plexus. What a blessing and a curse.
Do you think a lot of open solar plexus almost end up like forcing themselves into the confrontation because they just need to release that? And it's like almost this buildup because they're around all of the emotion and nobody's saying anything about it? Because I know that defined solar plexus are technically designed for confrontation. Like we're just like, hey, boom. But I actually haven't been that way for most of my life, because when I was a kid, I got punished for having really intense emotions. And so I started being like, oh, I guess it's not okay to express myself, or it's not okay to get mad at certain people. But, I'm also a 2/4 and I have the 59/6. And so I think some of that plays into it also, where I'm like kind of people pleaser. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to upset anybody because that could send my tribal wave off.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's definitely like different markers in the chart. You could be a defined solar plexus and still struggle with confrontation as well. But I find that I am almost more comfortable with it with open emotionals. Like I'm like, hey, let's talk about this. I know you're feeling this. Whereas with other defined solar plexus, it can be awkward sometimes because people almost don't want to own their emotions, or they're kind of projecting things. I find that defined solar plexus oftentimes don't have as much of an awareness around our emotions because we're so used to it. It's like we actually have to try to become aware of them. It's almost just like blood running through our veins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when with generators we have that sacral motor, it's literally like feels like intensified on both situations. When you want to talk about confrontation with anything that comes up, it like it builds up in me and it wants to like thrust itself out via like ego to throat, and I like inform about the confrontation, and it comes out really messy, like not organized. And because I'm just trying to get it out of me as fast as I can, because I realize how much it was building up, and I'm like, well, that's not effective either. So it's like a daily check-in for me. Like I feel a pulse of like, oh, am I avoiding confrontation? It's just kind of it's always there. It's like always running from that open solar plexus.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's interesting. Like learning how to engage with one another when you know that we're all experiencing different things through different lenses. And what I've found is that the people in my life that are informed about design and even like have an understanding of the basics are much more accepting and loving in communication. And there's this like mutual respect that I've actually never felt prior to design. So I think it's a really beautiful thing. Even like my parents are familiar with it now. Like they only know the basics, but sometimes I'll say, if we have plans and I have to cancel, I'm like, I'm in a low. I don't feel good. I don't feel social or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, respect your low. They totally get it now, where before, there may have been some guilt around canceling because I'm in a low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my son is an emotional generator, 2/4 emotional generator, and caves environment. And so when he would like spin into a low, he would like tuck away, hermit away in a fort in his bed tent, all of that. And then, but he's not afraid of confrontation with me. It's like he needs to like recharge, and then he'll come out with like this confidence because he has open ego as well. And he's like, here's here's what I have to say. And if I probe him, or if I'm too much like, do you want to talk about it, are you, and he'll do it in his own time. And I think that's maybe just his second line, but like in his own time, after he's like ridden a little bit of his wave, and then we can have a productive conversation. But if I'm like, I know there's something bothering you, and then he'll be like, and I'm like, oh, okay, go. And then either way, he'll have to be by himself for a little bit because that's how he is.
Yeah, I would say that's super accurate. Like I think back to being a kid, and my mom is a projector, so she would always like pick up on what was going on with me and be like, what's wrong with you? Do you need to talk about something? And I was always so reactive. Don't talk to me. Slam the door. My dad actually had to take my door off of my bedroom because I slammed it so many times being in a low.
Yes.
It's like I was breaking it.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like if it would have been, and I think it was handled like that sometimes, but if I could have just had space for a while to just allow those emotions to just blah, and then when I actually come talk, it's from a more of a neutral space.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the triple split, please?
Ooh.
Triple split.
What about it?
Yeah, what do you want to know?
What do you want to talk about?
What I know about triple splits I actually don't think I have any in my life. I've definitely had sessions with them. Um, but what I know about them is that they need to be around lots of different people, like throughout the day. And they almost like to, I don't want to use the word sample because they're not reflectors, but it's almost like they do need to have like different samples of people throughout the day. Like, and they can be kind of surface level interactions. It's not like you need to have deep interactions with all these people throughout the day, but just kind of being in public spaces. And it helps to bridge your split if you're in a public space. So even if you just go sit in a coffee shop or something like that, it'll help you process things quicker and, yeah, feeling conflicted. Triple split here. Indirect photography. Well, if you have anything to share.
Triple split too, like in the relationship sector, I've read a lot about how they might be more prone to open or like polyamorous relationships, or because they get to that sampling, it shifts and changes, not saying they can't be monogamous, but the charts that I've seen with people in those type of relationships are more likely to be. Hey, Thomas. Hey, we're talking about generators, Thomas. Do you want to join us?
Yes.
Can I send you a request? I don't know. Yeah, he's still on. I'll send you a request. If you want to join us, you can. I don't know if you're in capacity.
Only if you're a sacral yes, though.
Only if you're a sacral yes. Yeah. It's there for you to respond to if you want to.
Our voices are all annoying. Oh, yay! Thomas!
Hey!
Just very quick, I don't have much time, but I just want to join you on one thing.
Yeah.
My older son is a triple split generator.
Yay!
And he absolutely hates to play alone.
There you go. They need to be around people.
Yeah, but it's not so easy for us,
Yeah.
Always to play with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be kind of exhausting as a parent, because there's always...
Yeah, it is. And he has like 8 of 9 centers defined, so quite a format.
Yeah. That's when I would get like what did I used to have for Weston, because my son is like that. He never wanted to play alone, and I got a mother's helper for him. Like,
okay.
It was a homeschooled girl who was like 12, and she would come over for like $3 an hour or so. Maybe she was 11. It'd come over for $3 an hour and just play with him. And like,
that's a great idea, because it's not so easy right now. Yeah. I hope this COVID situation will get looser and soon, and then we can also get some nanny here.
Yeah.
Someone to play with him. Yes.
Yeah.
So we started off this conversation with talking about generators and how it's not very easy to decondition or to wake us up. How do you feel about your not self themes coming up in your life? What's that like?
I actually heard the quite opposite, that it can be in an instant to wake a generator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just about getting to the sacral.
Yeah.
Might be much harder to get a projector. I mean, I think. I mean, that's quite easy to get the
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah. I think the process of like, because I have that too. Now that you say that, it is an instant awareness being a sacrally defined, but the stuff that I have to kind of manage, it feels like a lot. Like my sacral says one thing, my open centers say one thing, and then I'm aware of what my sacral, and I follow my sacral, but it's a lot having the awareness.
True. That's the practice. That's the experiment, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I will make space for other people. I have to leave now, but it's great that you do it, and I hope we can talk soon again.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Bye, Thomas. Thanks for hopping on.
Yes. See you then. Bye.
Aw, there's Thomas, everybody. If you don't follow Thomas, go follow him. He's doing some really great projects in the human design community. He's at Living My Design and also at Match My Source. That's his project too.
Okay, let's see. We have some Sacral Journal. My inner voices are all noisy as heck, and I can get confused away from my sacral unless I'm walking around other auras. So I noticed Since I've been really implementing strategy and authority, I didn't realize. So I'm a 4/6. I love being around people, um, and always connecting with people. But the alone time for me and being in my own aura has been very beneficial for me to like clear a lot of that conditioning noise. I feel like I'm more calibrated to my sacral if I have alone time every day.
We have a couple triple splits in here. 2/4 triple split. We still want to be around people even if we're doing our own thing. Yeah, I'm a 2/4 also, and I feel like the 2/4 invites people into their aloneness. So as a triple split, I would imagine it's kind of similar. It's like you're still kind of in your own bubble or your own world, but you're benefiting from being in the auras of others.
I attract a lot of 2/4s in my life, like two of my household members, but like tons of my friends are 2/4s, and I noticed that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the joke is like if you move in with a 2/4, it's almost like, yeah, they're inviting you into their aloneness, and also don't move anything in their house. Because we're very particular about where everything is in our house.
I didn't ever think about that. My husband's 2/4, and when we first moved in together, he would like come home from work, and I'd be like, "So I rearranged the whole house today," and he'd be like, "Oh."
No. Yeah, my dad's a 2/4
Or I'll
also,
like,
and yeah, he would always be like very particular about his stuff and his things. And I mean, thinking back, I was too, but it's like when the mirror, when somebody else does it, you're not necessarily noticing it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's so funny.
So what has been, I'm curious if there's any generators on here. What has been your experience with your experiment as far as like waking up to your sacral? How's that process been for you? Because what Thomas said is correct for me too, as far as the initial waking up the generators is easy,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm finding obviously I'm not past the first 7 years, but it's a lot. I feel like I say this because I don't know, but I feel like my projector husband is having an easier time than, but I don't know. That's just my perception, right? He just kind
Yeah,
of works through.
yeah, it feels, I don't know. I think it's they say it's fast with generators because we have that sacral response, and even if we're emotional, we can still feel our sacral, and we're magnetic. We pull things into us, so it's like we don't have to go very far to find something to respond to, and we're just responding to things all day long.
Right.
And we can shift from frustration to satisfaction pretty quickly. And I feel like we both experience this when we have, when we don't have enough options or we don't have enough information about things, and then somebody gives us more information. A good example of this, my friend invited me to a party this weekend, and I was a yes to it. And my friend Sarah is also friends with him, and she was a no to it. But then I was like, but it's going to be catered at this restaurant, and there's going to be tacos there. And she's like, oh, I'm a yes now. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
need more information.
Yeah. And I think that's the key, that piece that isn't missing anywhere in the human design community, but for generators to really understand the getting to know themselves, like the basics of their type, and those things like needing more information, needing more choice, this or that questions, like how to use, how to feel your response in your body. Doing like sacral calibration, asking yourself questions when you open the fridge, milk or juice, and see what happens, because we can calibrate our sacral and just kind of hone it every single day. We have an in our body authority that we can literally feel. It's a huge gift, but we can easily be like, not gonna listen to you, sacral. I mean, anybody can say that about their authority, but I feel like generators will get a little bit of frustration. We almost like feed the frustration, like, nope, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's wellness with Carla. My personality sun is in 29, so I want to say yes all the time. So the hardest part for me has been remembering my emotional authority. I also have gate 29, not my conscious sun, but I I get what you're saying there. It's like the yes is the initial response, and then you're like, wait, I can't say yes yet. But it's almost like this knee-jerk reaction where you just say yes, and it really does take some awareness to give yourself time. Sacral Journal, my experience was that finding my sacral was easy, but not ignoring it from my conditioning has been much more difficult. Yeah, I would agree with that too. That's where like
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I can feel it. I know that I'm a no to that, but I don't want to say no because I
Yeah.
could hurt this person's feelings or whatever.
That's why Ross says, like, we got to surrender. Surrender to the sacral.
The mind wants to make all the decisions.
Yes, it does. Oh,
Have
man.
you really started to notice like the difference between your mind chatter and what your sacral, like what's the difference for you between the mind chatter and the sacral?
What's the difference? I mean, they're completely different beings, entities in my body, you know? I'm surprised at how much my mind has to say about things and how much it was like running the show before. Because now the difference is basically I listen for anything that comes after what I feel in my body. And then I'm like, where's that from? And you don't have to do this. This is just part of my experiment because I want to know who's trying to talk. And I want to let them be heard for a second, but they don't get to make the decision, right? Because maybe if I let them be heard, they're not going to scream at me so loud. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was from there. Interesting. Thank you. Oh, no, spleen, we're safe. Thank you. You know, like just kind of, thank you, panel of 9 people. You, only Sacral gets to delegate the funds, you know? Like in my
Panel of 9.
in my personal boardroom, I have Sam talked to me about this in one of my first human design sessions. She's like, it's like you have a panel of 9, a board of directors, and each center, you have to have 9, so there's 9 there. But like your open and undefined centers are like the drunk people in the boardroom, or they're hungover, or they don't really get to say anything, but they have to be there because you have to have 9. And your authority is who gets to delegate the funds for whatever project is brought to the board of directors. And so for me, sacral gets to say what goes, even if spleen's like, nah, it's good, we're safe. And, my defined heart is like, we can fucking do this, And sacral's like, no, we're not going to. And then everybody kind of gets riled up about why we can't do it. And that riling up, I just kind of see where it's coming from and have an awareness of conditioning, how it got there. And it's very quick. I don't spend a lot of time like doing a lot of inner work on it. I just have an awareness. And then same thing when sacral says yes. Directors. Oops, did I shut off?
You're good.
Okay. The rest of the board of directors is like, we're saying no, not safe. No, that means we have to confront them. No, my mom keeps calling. Sorry. Like the board of directors, like, nope, not doing that. Nope. And the sacral's like, oh, we have the funds and we're doing it. Like, or nope, we're not. It's like a whole thing. So I really like that visual of like we all have our personal board of directors. Who gets to be the one that tells you what goes? Just like with you for your having, a sacral motor, but emotional authority, sacral's going to be like, we got the funds right away. I knew it. I know it. I know we got the funds. And then emotional authority needs to ride the wave and be like, well, that's cool. Thank you for your input. I will listen to your yes. And then I'll let you know in a couple days. Oh, I think we're paused. Oh, I'll have Teresa come back just a second. But I really love that board of directors analogy because it just like kind of gives everybody, here we go. I don't need to give them a voice, but it's helpful for me in my conditioning to see where they come from. The sacral board chair, exactly. Yay! All right, Teresa's coming back. Maybe. And what I noticed with that too is that like doing that little check-in gives me an awareness of some not self themes that come up. And then I can, with my own design, I like to know where they come from. Like, ooh, what's that? Oh, that's coming from gate 37. You know, I get nerdy out about that stuff. And you don't have to. It can just be a quick check-in. It says Teresa's unable to join. Let's see. Maybe it's an internet issue. Yes, trusted advisors, but authority always makes the decisions. Yeah, because, well, with generator, I mean, with any type, but if we're talking about generators, that sacral is going to let us know, our authority is going to let us know what we have the energy for, so we don't get burnt out, so we don't feel resentful and frustrated all the time, so we are in satisfaction. And if you think about it, it's like delegating funds, and that's your energy, what you have for the things.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes with emo authority, it feels like it's like that parent that takes a long time to make the decision, you know? You know, when you're a kid and you're like, I want to go on this trip, Mom. Can I do it? Can I do it? And they're like, no, I'm gonna have to think about that for a few days. So that's how the sacral feels to me. It's like, let's do it. Let's do it. Emo was like, no, I'm really gonna have to sleep on that. I'm gonna have to wait it out. And it's like, okay. Where I used to get frustrated with it, and I think I'd make decisions from my not self, from that open ego, and be like, well, I have to prove to people that I'll be there. I have to prove to people that I'm a loyal friend, or prove this or prove that. And now it's just like, nope, I gotta wait. I gotta see. I don't know where I'm gonna be at.
Yeah, I love that with it's like the parent and the child within you. Because then what I see is like the little child being like, why couldn't you knew it was a yes the other day. Why didn't you just say yes then? And then, you know, even more of that.
Oh, that happens all the time. I mean, because also I'm feeling cognition, and I actually think, I mean, this could be a whole different conversation, but I think that our cognition has a lot to say when it comes to our decision-making process. And it might not be like the final answer, but it's a lot of it helps us gather information. So with feeling cognition, it actually hasn't happened very often where my initial first feeling was incorrect. And it doesn't feel like a sacral feeling. It's just like
yeah.
You know, you're feeling cog too, so you get it. It's just a feeling. It's like,
it's
yep, this
like,
is right.
Yeah, it's like it's not from like the gut. It's not the body so much. It's just like spidey sense. I feel like, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spidey sense.
You get it. You just feel it. It's like your entire body, and it's not stemming from one concentrated place and trying to come out. It's just like, ooh, yeah, okay, you know. Is anybody else on here feeling cognition and sacral? And I think that's why, this, you know, we could talk about everything forever, but when I have a generator in a session and I see that they're feeling cognition, I talk about it. Like the first time, you know, I talk about it in that session because it's so present in the other generator and the other sacral beings that I've met in feeling cognition. It's a big part of them. And maybe that's just because I'm feeling cognition, but I've had a couple generator clients that are like touch or smell, you know, and they're like, yes, but that feeling, and I think I bring it up because it's a body thing for me and a lot of the other generators that I've met. And so differentiating between the sacral and the feeling cognition.
Yeah. I'm touch cognition. There's definitely frequency that you can feel touch or you physically touch. Yeah, that's what I've heard with touch cognition. I had a few touch cognition people. I found that touch cognition people are along the same lines as feeling cognition people. There's frequencies that we feel.
I'm here. My mom called again.
Mom, leave us alone.
I'm on live.
Like we're playing in our bedroom. Mom!
Mom, stop. My son's touch cognition, and he's very aware of like how his stuff feels on him. It's not like sensory, but he's just like, he knows how he wants things to feel. Like I got this like busted ass sheet from a thrift store one time for some art project, and he loves how it feels and wants to sleep with it. And it's like, and I'm like, okay, okay. All right. Like this was an art cloth and now you want it to be your sheet in your bed. And it's like, but he loves how it feels. And so he's like, this is for me. Like,
this is for me. I love that.
Emo and external vision. Yeah.
So you're a perfectionist. No, I find that the people that I know with external vision are very particular about the way things look. Like when they're designing anything or everything is very like curated to them, right? It might not look amazing to somebody else, but I find that it does. Like I can't even compare myself to people that are external vision and they do design stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
it's pretty amazing. Also, like it's like you guys have night vision. Whenever I go for a walk with Sarah and she's external vision, she'll just notice things in the night. Like it's like she has like the vision of a dog or something. You know how they just see things. Very harsh with my art. Yeah, that would be hard to be an artist with external vision.
Yeah.
You have gate 41 too, huh, Emily?
Do you have defined heart?
I feel like we're kind of lagging or cutting out a little bit at times.
Oh, I'm good. Can you hear me? Yeah, I have a Pure MG best friend. Oh, I am. All right. Well, maybe we close it up for the day. If you guys can still hear me, I think we're going to close it up for the day because we're having internet stuff. Thank you for joining us. And if Teresa pops back, I mean, I can see myself. Maybe she can see herself. Maybe this is all paused. I don't know. All right, guys. Let's see. Fifth tone here for body and environment. I also see the cyclical aspects on that. Have to come back. The person, place, over time for more samples. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I guess we're getting off. We're 45 minutes in. So we originally planned to have these for like 20 minutes, but then we realized that's just not going to happen. So we will come back and there will be lots more conversation about all of the things human design. So be sure to share this page with anybody that might be interested. They can come back and watch any videos. If you have any desire to join us on live during a certain topic, you can always send a request while we're live, or you can hop in the DMs and let us know. So for any projectors out there, this is an invitation. If you need a more cordial one, let me know. There's Teresa. All right. Okay, dudes, thanks for joining us.